Good morning, everybody. I hope this video finds you well. Today, I want to talk about the woman in the aluminum foil jacket. Or is it a coat? I'm not quite sure. It's an observed world line travel. If you have been following writings, you know that world lines are real. It's called the MWI, and that you can move from different world line templates through various means. And we're going to talk about one observation of one such event. Before we begin, I want to preface this in saying that I have a lot of videos describing these kinds of events. There are events where people just come and appear out of the blue. A car appears in the middle of an intersection and gets hit. A person runs out of nowhere, literally from nowhere. They run from nowhere and run into the street. There's lots of events like this. The guy riding a bicycle. The bicycle and the guy just come into reality. Some people, the realists, say that there's no such thing as multiple worlds or invisibility cloaks or time travel or any such nonsense. Because if there was, their government would tell them. That's not the case, guys. The reality is we're on a particular template of world lines. And that's how it works. You have collections of world lines, and they form a template. A topographical map, if you will. And you can move back and forth. You can move upon the template through thoughts or vocalized thoughts alone. Takes a while, but it works. It's probably the safest way to conduct travel like this. And there's other ways. I've talked about dimensional portals and how to make one. I've got articles on that. And I suppose you might say that this little video is part of that genre. I've talked about 5th and 7th dimensional travel. I've talked about all kinds of other things. This particular video describes an event. You see, a lot of cars have a camera in the front of the car, and they record what happens as you drive. And this particular camera recorded a woman appearing out of nowhere at the side of a road. What's interesting about her is that she is wearing an aluminum foil coat or jacket. That's a giveaway to the type of system that is used. It's a protective surface from heat and cold disruptions. There's a certain technique in world line travel, physical world line travel, not affirmation campaigns, but portal egress. Which case you use, like I've said before, you would use flux capacitors to measure gravitational events and alter your coordinates, and then you would create a I like to use the word temporal displacement. A temporal displacement. It's a void in the space-time bubble from where you're coming from to where you're going to, and you cross through that void. I know it's science fiction-y kind of stuff. Don't get too caught up on the mathematics involved in that. Though, if you really want to talk about mathematics about that, I would be, I won't say happy, but I will be enthusiastic in churning out some equations for you whenever I get a goddamn chance. But I can do it. Let me have a sip of my coffee. If my slurping upsets you, you can leave. It's hot, so I slurp. And it's also a sign that I like the coffee. If you're in Asia, you realize that slurping means you enjoy it very much. A person who drinks it in silence gives no feedback to the host. It's as if the host doesn't exist, and it's kind of insulting. So if you're in Asia and I'm in China, you want to slurp and munch your food. It's a sign of respect, don't you know? But anyways, I'm digressing. So let's talk a little bit about this aluminum foil chick. Now, of course, she's wearing this coat, which says that she transported from nowhere, from someplace elsewhere, to where she is right now. And there was a event that required heat or cold, and she needed to wear this coat. That says temporal displacement if I ever heard it. Okay? This is not the same thing as the DIY egress portal that I've been writing about. That's not the same as what I experienced at NASC Pensacola, Florida. Nope. This is a different system. Similar to that which the John Titor talked about. Similar to. Not saying the same thing. I'm saying it's similar to. We do not know who this woman is. We do not know why she is here. We know nothing at all about her. All we know is what was caught on film. She entered in a bubble, a force bubble, that actually pushed a semi to the side as she appeared. You can see that in the video. It is reminiscent of the bubble that the Arnold Schwarzenegger played as the Terminator when he reappeared in the past. It's a bubble that is transported. You can see this, or picture in your mind's eye, this bubble that moves this semi to the side. This woman just appears out of the air. What do we know? Before I get any further, let's watch the video first, okay? And then from there, we can go into the particular details, shall we? the video, let me point out a few things. The first things, let me tell you where it is. It's someplace in northeastern Europe. Might be Ukraine, might be Lithuania, might be Western Russia. We don't know. Second thing, it is at the side of the road. It might even be in Sweden. We don't know. Not that it matters, okay? But that'll give you an impression. The second thing is it's at the side of the road. If you've read my writings, you will know that roads tend to be long duration structures. They might be a dirt road and then it's paved over. It might have a town built up around it, but the road stays the same. So if somebody's doing time travel, they pick the edge of a road or the intersection of two roads, if they're on the road, to egress, because that way you know you're not going to egress inside of a tree. Okay? Or inside of the wall of a building, or inside of another person. You would pick a desolate stretch of road. Check. A place that there isn't going to be too many people. Check. A road that's not that well traveled. Check. And the road will probably last for a couple hundred years. Check. And you would then put your coordinates there with the likelihood that nobody will either hit you, see you, and you probably won't transport in the middle of a tree or a building or something. The second thing you have to pay attention to is, of course, the aluminum foil jacket, which of course implies the mechanism, the system that is used by this traveler. Okay? Okay? The system. So we know that it is a temporal displacement system. Fine. Okay? It's not a... okay. We know the general mechanism that's being used. The next thing you need to know is you take a look at her clothing. Pay particular attention to her shoes and her hairstyle. The only people who have that hairstyle and wear those kinds of shoes are nuns. Which leads me to think, is there a secret network of teleportation units of the religious convents? I doubt that, but it makes a very good integration disguise. If I were to go to the land of the lost, I'd like to blend in as much as I could with wherever I go. When in Rome, look like a Roman. If you're going to go to New York City, don't look like you're obviously from Los Angeles, okay? And that's what I think's going on. So it's obviously somebody who is going to this region for a certain purpose. We don't know what the purpose is. We don't know the duration of the visit or anything like that. We don't. But what we do know is people are coming and going. And this one particular woman has teleported, and we observed it. What can we conclude from all this? Well, if you want to, you can believe that it is just a coincidence. And maybe she was walking across the street or across this highway in the middle of nowhere. And it was just a coincidence that it didn't pick up anything and it just looks this way. Just a coincidence. Or you can believe that she's a temporal travel, whether it's from time or space or from a different world line. It's up to you. But the point and the reason why I am here bringing up this particular video is to remind you all that our reality universe consists of the MWI, the Multi-World Initiative. It's a bunch of world lines, whatever you may call it. And they all fit together on these things called templates. And our consciousness establishes the geography of that template. There are those in the MM audience who listen and read because they're fascinated with it, but they still don't get it. You are not sharing the universe with other people. It only appears that way. The universe is custom made for you, and you're on a world line vector. And if you want to leave or change it, there's techniques that I have outlined. And for that, people, I want to have one little video to show you what will happen if you do not choose your destination coordinates clearly. If you do not select the side of a road, if you do not select some kind of geographic marker that you can guarantee will not have a building, a tree, or a person in the middle of it. Okay? Check out this video. Have it, people. And for those of you who are still not convinced and think it's just a fluke, there's many of you out there, don't you know? Or you think that maybe it's just some great CGI by some bored teenagers or somebody trying to make a little bit of money. Take a look at this video here. It takes place in China. Now, for those of you who are unaware, China is completely wired up. Totally wired up. It is full-on surveillance. But it's by AI. Okay? They can track anybody anyhow. So there's no... That's why CIA is just so freaking out. Because all their cells have been tracked and nabbed and the operators killed. Check out this particular video of the guy in China who runs out of the blue. goodness. He's certainly a man on a mission, wouldn't you say? That's what I would think, right? That was something else, huh? There's people that like to say, well, America has this technology. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. People say, don't be so sure that America, the United States, is as capable as everybody seems to think it is, because if it was, the economy wouldn't be in shambles. If America was as capable as everybody thinks it is, then you wouldn't have bridges collapsing, people living in tents. Obviously, there's a disconnect between perception and reality. All right, guys. And at that, I hope you all take care. I will do other videos on this if you want me to. I'm just trying to underscore and underline a couple of very important points that I think you all should pay attention to, don't you know? And remember, guys, no matter what happens, in everything you do, try to be the best kind of person you can possibly be. Be good to dogs, be good to cats, eat well, be kind to others. Control your temper if you can. Make the world a better place. Make a difference in the lives of others. Don't be a spectator, be a participant. And with that, people, know one thing. I believe in you. Yes, I do. That's the fact.